Hello and how you doing, and welcome back to another episode of Two Jagoffs. I am your host, Austin Cairns, right here in Point Park's beautiful media hub, and we're supposed to have an interview today because it is Interview Sunday, and after all, every week we bring on a guest. And this week's guest is...
Whoa! No. I'm not going to let you introduce me. Nobody introduces me except for me. I am, of course, your landlord's favorite wrestler, the gentrifier, some guy named John. And you're welcome for me appearing on your podcast because I don't have to do this. I am doing this because people deserve to hear me.
Ladies and gentlemen, some guy named John. John, I wish I could say it was good to see you, but I'm not really going to. But how's everything going with you?
It's fine. I'm in a tournament. I'm wrestling around the world. I'm a very busy man, so don't waste my time with stupid questions.
I promise I will not waste your time with stupid questions, John. And I actually do appreciate you being here. It means a lot, you coming to Point Park University, taking the time out of your so-called busy day to actually sit down with me. But I want to begin this interview with one question. Why are you picking a fight with me, of all people? I'm just a commentator. I'm just a commentator reporting on unbiased journalists. I'm taking a look at you, Clayton King, Reese Hayes, and I'll be honest, ever since amateur wrestler Reese Hayes has taken over 880 Wrestling, I see a little bit of corruption going on behind the scenes. You mind speaking on that a little bit?
First off, it's on the shirt. We lead by example.
Nice
the Reese Hayes era of 880 Wrestling is all about creating a better 880 Wrestling, and you should be kissing my feet because we brought you in on commentary, okay? And we expected unbiased journalism. But what I hear is shit talking. Okay. All I hear is you talking trash on me and my pals, Clayton King and Reese Hayes, when we are creating a better 880 Wrestling. We are creating opportunities. That's what's going on right now at 880 with the home run tournament.
I mean, you could say it's been better. And I will say, I actually do like the idea of this home run tournament because it's putting you guys up in certain matches. I mean, after all, we've seen you versus Clayton King in a match, which creates new opportunities and new moments. You mind speaking on that a little bit?
Now, obviously, I had nothing to do with the blocks. And
I can tell.
Reese Hayes is all about a more competitive 880 Wrestling. That's what we're about. That's why we created the rankings. That's why we have this tournament.
Yes.
He wants us all to be the best. And sometimes you have to sharpen your skills by going up against your equals. And for leaders by example, there are no equals except for our fellow leaders by example.
Right. Now, there's one thing I want to speak on in 880 Wrestling specifically. Before this home run tournament came about, we had the ranking system, right? And something I noticed, and I even pointed this out on commentary to Toddy, was there was the top 10 rankings. And you recently lost your TNF championship to Liberty L. And afterwards, you were ranked number 2 on that list. And literally the week as you're the week of that you're ranked number 2, it just completely disappears. How does that make you feel?
Not great. I'll be honest. I noticed it too.
Mm-hmm.
We debuted a new ranking. I'm number 2, which means I'm 1 away from getting a championship match. And now I need to beat 5 other competitors to get to the exact same spot I was already in. But it's okay because when you compete on my level, you know you'll get there eventually. All right? So it's fine. Everything is fine with Reese Hayes, amateur wrestler. He has a great vision. I support it, blah, blah, blah.
You know what? I might actually surprise you. I want to give you credit on something real quick. You are the longest reigning TNF champion in history. I got to give you props there. Congratulations on that. And you've had a great championship reign. Liberty L recently defeated on it. And I want to kind of speak on that championship reign a little bit. What did being the Thursday Night Fights champion mean to some guy named John?
Well, you know, it was validation. Nick's Wild is who created that belt. He created it from the ashes of our former 880 championship, and they carried it so well. They made that title what it was. They are the forefather of that belt. And then you had Tatiana. And Tatiana, well, they were champion, I guess.
What did Tatiana do?
Oh, Tatiana knows what she did.
Okay.
And back at last Thanksgiving, I won a guaranteed championship opportunity, and unfortunately, I had to lead my friends astray. I told them we would go for the tag team championships, and I knew in my heart that ultimately that wasn't the goal. It was to take that TNF championship and return it to its former glory, and little did I know, it would achieve new heights. I've beaten almost everyone while defending that championship.
You have beaten almost everyone. I mean, some of those contests we could say there's a little bit of cheating involved, maybe a little bit of scandal. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to take that away. You are the longest.
No, I got to stop you there. You keep saying cheating.
Yes.
Cheating. Now, are you slandering our officials? Are you implying that our officials are missing action going on in the ring? Because if our officials saw cheating, trust me, they would have disqualified me. And I don't know that I've ever been disqualified. In fact, I don't know that I was pinned or made to tap out once during the 6 months of my title reign until I lost that championship.
You know what, John? I'm so glad you brought that up because that's something that you and Clayton's been bringing up on social media time and time again. I actually love our officials, both Lefty and Ross. I don't think either one of them have ever made a bad call. But here's what I will say. You guys have taken advantage of these officials. It's 3-on-1. Come on. One of you guys outside the ring distracting one official. The other one takes a low blow or hits someone with the championship. Come on, John. We all see it. It's all BS.
Now, while we come out together as tag teams, if you look at our singles competition, it is very rare that the leaders are accompanied by one another. And that is because we are all key figures in 880 wrestling. There is no night where we are all not booked in a featured bout. Go look at the cards.
Okay, well, we have seen you bend the rules time and time again. And it's happened. There's proof of it out there because of IndieWrestling.us. You can go check it out on YouTube anytime, any place. But I will say this. Thursday Night Fights champion, you're now no longer a champion. You're in this home run tournament, which puts you in prime position to possibly win a championship. What do you have your eyes on? What do you have your eyes set on? I want to know.
The same thing as everyone else. The 880 championship. That is the top of the mountain. And Nick's Wild, once again, is that champion. And they are doing a phenomenal job. Right. But the Reese Hayes era is more than phenomenal. It's about being extraordinary. And that's what this tournament is going to test. It is going to test our mettle, and whoever comes out on top gets that championship opportunity. And just like I tell Clayton, love you, I think you're great, but I'm going to beat you. And that's how I feel about Nick's Wild, too.
I want to play the hypothetical game here for a second. Let's just say Clayton King goes on to win this tournament, which we all know is not happening. But let's just say Clayton King does go on to win this home run tournament. How do you feel? Are you going to be that supportive friend, that supportive leader that you claim to be? Or are you going to feel a certain way?
Me and Clayton and Reese support each other in everything we do.
Okay.
If somehow, and I mean somehow, Clayton is able to overcome me, he will have my full support, and I would expect to have his.
Okay, because I want to point this out. Me and Clayton also don't exactly have the best relationship right now either, but Clayton stood by your side all throughout your TNF championship reign. I'm not pointing the finger, but I just have a small feeling that if it was kind of reversed, I don't fully expect you to be there. Thoughts?
I don't know where. I think this is some wild accusations. I mean, tabloid journalism at its finest. I don't think I've ever done anything to show I don't have Clayton King's back.
Okay. I mean, we can run the tapes and stuff. I don't exactly know where you were during that Pittsburgh match against MV Young.
I was letting Clayton King do his thing. If you go out and say you are the new king of Pittsburgh, you don't need your friend to come out with you. Now, Clayton King did not get the job done, and sometimes that's just how it works out. But guess what? Just like me, Clayton King has an opportunity at MV Young in this tournament. He has another chance to pin him. And let me remind you, Clayton King beat MV Young. He beat him. Also, Clayton King and me beat MV Young and Brandon St. James.
Okay. If you claim that, so to be. I do want to take this back a little bit, though. I do appreciate you again for coming on this podcast. I actually am glad you are here, some guy named John.
You're welcome.
I invited you on social media, and you actually showed up, which takes courage, and I'm not upset at all with that. But I kind of want to know your backstory a little bit more. Your name is some guy named John. Not John something, not something John. You're just some guy named John. Where did this name come about? I found it very interesting.
So this was a joke by our production team, and maybe that's where my problem with assholes like you on commentary started. The production team, when I was the announcer, because yeah, I was a part of it. I used to be one of you all.
Okay.
When I was the announcer, they just threw it up there. Some guy named John. And you know what? I rolled with it because I realized I'm anything but some guy. I'm the guy who crawled out of that little ashtray that you call a commentary booth area and rose to the top. So I am some guy named John, ironically, because I am the guy.
I will say, the name some guy named John stands out amongst the rest. I mean, you look down the 880 roster, that's the first name that I see. I'm like, some guy named John. Who the hell is this John guy? And I will give you credit where credit is due. It's taken you to new heights, and I'm really appreciative of that, and I actually really like the name. But being some guy named John and being able to travel all over the place, work with 880 and work with so many different companies here, I want to know, what is some guy named John's main goal in the end? Is it just championships? Is it just glory? Where does some guy named John go from here? Because you start off as this announcer, now you're this wrestler. What's in the purpose?
I'm just making an impact wherever I can. And
Okay.
so far, I'm very lucky that the exposure I've gotten through 880 Wrestling has gotten me amazing opportunities. I've wrestled with Negative Outlook in West Virginia, Canadian Deathmatch up near Toronto. I've wrestled in Michigan, and I've wrestled throughout Pittsburgh. It's gotten me to a lot of different promotions where they've all gotten to experience what it's like to lead by example and to see some guy named John. And, you know, that's what I am. I'm an experience. That's why I insist on carrying the microphone out with me whenever I enter. I need to address the people. I'm like a politician.
Okay, sure.
I need my soapbox to tell them what is going to happen today, and then I deliver.
Okay. I will say this. You do cut very good promos as well. And I can tell you take your promos very seriously whenever you're at Negative Outlook, whenever you're at 880 and Joy. This really comes back from your broadcasting background, obviously, because you're at the commentator's desk just like I was. And I'll be honest, I'm nowhere near a wrestler. Look at me. I'm never going to get in the ring like you did, which I will give you credit where credit is due. How do you make that transition from ring announcing to wrestling? What's that transition like?
I mean, ring announcing was easy. I have a theater background.
You do? That's cool.
I used to do theater. So that part comes naturally. I used to do newscasting in college, so I know how to talk. Some of these idiots don't, but I do. I know how to wrestle. I know how to talk. I'm the full package. So when I was presented with the opportunity after Marco Narciso ceased to be our ring announcer, I jumped on it. I just started with T2T Pittsburgh, and they said they needed a new ring announcer, and I went, what a perfect spot. That will get me on Thursday Night Fights. And that's what it did. And from there, I forged a partnership with a wrestler who's no longer at 880. And I took that partnership as far as it could go, and then I kicked their ass to the curb. And since then, I've achieved so much.
You have achieved so much. And I will say this. You've been all over the place doing all these different wrestling companies. And you said Canadian Deathmatch and Negative Outlook. Those are two of the most extreme companies out there. I mean, it's all about blood, glass. It's extreme. How do you put your body on the line for that? Because I always found that fascinating as someone who's looking at this from an outsider's perspective. Like, what's your mindset going into something like that?
You know, people like to call me the gentrifier, right? That's one of the monikers they've called me.
Okay, self-proclaimed.
No, it's applied. Trust me.
Okay.
And that's because I pick the sleaziest, the dirtiest spots in pro wrestling, and I try to class up the joints, okay? I have a vision of what pro wrestling could be, and trust me, it does not align with what hardcore wrestling is. But I'm also not afraid to get my hands dirty. I know that I can take a strip of thumbtacks to the back. I can get put through a door, and I can come out victorious. And when I'm victorious, I can change the minds of the people in that audience to realize I was right all along.
What would you say your worst bump or worst moment was during one of these kind of matches? Worst thing that actually, like, when you go home, you're like, okay, maybe that was a little too much.
Nothing has been too much, but I will say I'm still scarred from some pigeon stripping that I took from a baseball bat while in Canada. If you watch my matches closely, you can see I have lots of little dots all over my body because they have not quite yet healed.
Oh, that's awful.
It's just part of the job for me.
It's part of the job for you. What about like the glass? Like, have you ever took like a light tube to the head, going through glass?
I've given light tubes to the head, but I have not taken it. I'm too wise for that. I duck.
Well, you duck. Okay. Well, bless you for that, because I would not be able to do that or even imagine getting hit with a light tube. Being able to travel some of these other companies, though, I see in Enjoy Wrestling, you're working with GME and Argentina. I see over in 880, you're with Clayton King. You're kind of the mouthpiece for a lot of these people.
I align myself with powerful individuals in wrestling. Gianni Michael Enrico in particular has been one of my trusted confidants in pro wrestling since day one.
Right.
He was at 880. He, at the time, was part of the top group in 880, the Dangerous Knights crew with David Lawless, and they were the top of the mountain. I quickly realized he was a good friend to have, and he's continued to be a good friend. We show up at a lot of the same promotions, and I am honored to be his manager at Enjoy Wrestling. And adding Cristiano to the group has made us even stronger. The Last Real Italians are perhaps the greatest tag team in all of pro wrestling today.
I don't know if I would go that far. I mean, there's still the TMEs of the world.
Oh, and
there's still go ahead.
TME has that target on their back. Trust me. They are the Enjoy Wrestling Tag Team Champions. And trust me, that is the top of the mountain. We have not gotten an opportunity at those tag team championships. And when we do, you won't be talking about TME anymore.
I mean, if we do have to go back in time to a couple weeks ago, I had a front row seat, actually. I was on call for your match in Cleveland, and correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it a 6-man tag team match? You leaders versus TMV? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah. You mind speaking on that match a little bit? That was a great match. Great 6-man tag team.
Yeah, thank you. You know, we were thrown off. There were jets going over. There was some sort of plane show. I don't know. You'd expect that they would pause for our entrance, but honestly, our heads weren't entirely in the game. We did not come out victorious. Mm-hmm. MV Young and TME managed to defeat Leaders by Example, and that happens. Sometimes you take an L, but we're still here. We're still standing. We showed up to our job the next week, and we were ready to fight again.
Was this your first time teaming up with Reese and Clayton together in like 6-man tag team action?
That was our first time in a trios match, yes.
First time in a trios match. So you're 0-1 now as Leaders by Example. That's crazy.
Well, Leaders by Example technically also refers to me and Clayton as our tag team.
Yeah.
And we've won a lot of matches.
Okay, but I'm just saying in trios competition.
Yes, we lost our one trios match, but we need time. MV Young and TME, they've known each other for ages. They have been staples of this wrestling scene for a very long time. They are the top of the mountain, as we already said. So the fact that we got in there and gave them the fight we did is a feat in itself.
I mean, there was a suplex that took place on a picnic table. I recall that. I do recall the planes flying over, which was crazy. Maybe they're just celebrating for you guys. Maybe they're just flying over. You didn't think about that?
No, I didn't think about that. Ohio sucks, and so did those planes.
You know what? That's one thing we could probably agree on this episode. Ohio does suck. But no, back to the task at hand here. You mentioned all these different tag teams and all these different people that you've had throughout your career. GME, Clayton King, Reese Hayes. Going back in time for a second, and I want you to be serious here for a sec, was there ever maybe a mentor or somebody that helped you get your foot in this door? Because you talked about you being ring announcer, and I really do find this fascinating because as someone who's in the broadcasting field, seeing someone make that seamless transition from ring announcer to professional wrestler is actually pretty cool to me. Was there maybe someone along the way at 880 or just in your wrestling journey that helped you make that transition?
Yeah. So I trained once before. Mm-hmm. I tried getting into pro wrestling a while back in Philadelphia. I trained with CZW. Honestly, wasn't for me. I did it a few months. The culture there just wasn't. I didn't vibe with it. I met some great people, but I fell out of it. And then I got back into it with 880 Wrestling. In those early days of the school, there were lots of teachers. I can't isolate just one. I mean, of course, MV Young, it's his school. As much as I hate the guy now, it is his school, and I learned a lot thanks to him. At the time, Chris LaRusso was there a lot, so I learned a lot from him. And then we had people that popped in. Gannon was still teaching there at the time of TME. Occasionally, we had Beastman pop in. Okay. Couldn't understand a damn thing he said, but he showed us some moves.
Yeah. Okay, I find that fascinating. Now, back in time a little bit more now, where did this love for professional wrestling initially begin? Because I've had several professional wrestlers on before, and everybody's story is a little bit different. Some came from like the anime background, the comic book background. Some just was watching the Hulk Hogan days or the Stone Cold days. Where did your love for wrestling begin?
According to my parents, the earliest memories they have are of me watching Glow, the original Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Also a Netflix show that was excellent from a couple years ago. That was one of those. My parents were very young when they had me, so if any of this parenting sounds dubious, my mom was 18. So they used to let me watch Glow as a baby, and it was one of the few things that would stop me from crying. From there, I think it's pretty typical. I grew up with WWF at the time. Yep. I'd go to the local video store. I'd rent all the WrestleMania VHSs and the Royal Rumble VHSs, and I never really fell out of it. I was pretty much a fan throughout my entire childhood, and when I got to college, I met a group of folks that were also fans within my first semester, and they ended up being some of my closest friends for the the rest of my time at school. We'd always go to the shows. And then after, I moved back to Philadelphia for a few years, and that's where I started getting into independent wrestling. At the time, Ring of Honor was running a lot of their shows there. Philly had a great scene, and it was great exposure to what was going on in pro wrestling outside of that WWE bubble.
Yeah, Philly's definitely a hotspot for professional wrestling. They got a lot of places over there.
Oh, yeah.
They got a lot. Would you say the difference between mainstream wrestling and independent wrestling is there? Like, do you still keep up with mainstream now that you're a part of the independents, or are you kind of like, okay, I want to be fully invested in what I'm doing right now?
I'll be honest, it's not because of any like fine line of what I'm doing, but I have fallen out. The TKO merger, something about it didn't click for me, so I struggle to watch WWE. I think it comes off very sanitized right now, having sponsors in the ring. There's just something about it that doesn't feel natural. It feels like a movie that's been edited to the point of losing any creativity. So I struggle to stay invested.
It is hard to stay invested, especially with some of the stuff nowadays, because it's so easily predictable. That's the thing that I hear a lot.
And they have some of the greatest wrestlers in the world. There are people I love to see their matches, and same with AEW. But the stories on either don't hook me. Like I'll go on YouTube and I'll seek particular segments out. I will watch everything Toni Storm does. I think what she's doing in AEW is one of the most iconic runs of this decade. Everything she touches just turns to gold. I think people have trouble keeping up with her on the microphone. And there are a few wrestlers like that where if I hear they did something, I go and I watch it, but I don't necessarily watch any program from start to finish anymore.
Who were some of those wrestlers that you did look up to growing up? Who were some of some guy named John's favorites?
Unsurprisingly, I was a big fan of talkers.
Makes sense.
When I was real young, I think it was a little more cliche, the Shawn Michaels.
Okay.
Big Shawn Michaels fan, even when he was in the Rockers, to his heel turn. Everything with Michaels I was obsessed with. As I got older, I was really into the Road Dogg. I loved the idea that he had his own entrance gimmick where he would take the microphone and talk it. I've done a couple plays on his intro throughout the years at 880. And then just a few odd names. They weren't necessarily the best in-ring workers, but I always thought they were strong characters. Hurricane Helms.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He was a big one. I loved the Hurricane when I was in high school. When he came over, I also wasn't watching his WCW stuff, but I eventually went back and discovered 3 Count, his boy band group in WCW, which was great. Yeah, so a lot of it came down to the characters. I was always a big fan of women's wrestling too. Big fan of Mickie James when she debuted. I thought the stuff she was doing was top notch and like really drew me in. Big Edge and Christian fan. I love Edge and Christian. Met them a lot when I was a kid. Like they were the only ones I'd insist on going to meet and get pictures with. Yeah, I mean, those are kind of the big ones. And then, in adulthood, Daniel Bryan, Punk, The Shield, got into all those guys.
And it seems like it's like all the entertaining ones too. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people forget like professional wrestling isn't just a sport; it's sports entertainment.
Oh yeah,
it's sports entertainment at the end of the day. And if you can wrestle well, but can you sell that character? Can you tell that story? And so many wrestlers, unfortunately, don't know how to do that.
And sometimes it's that combo. Like Daniel Bryan, he was, or Bryan Danielson, but when he was in WWE, he was having a great run, but he wasn't that top guy yet until they paired him with Kane, and you got Team Hell No, because Team Hell No is what allowed him to show his personality. I don't even know if I kind of think the Dr. Shelby sketches kind of got ran into the ground as a concept, but I think Daniel Bryan shined throughout, and ultimately all he was doing was yelling no, no, and then eventually yes, yes. But he established this character, and once fans were invested in that character, they wanted to see him have a 20-minute match, where there, I think, were a lot of fans who were a little more casual who didn't have an interest in that beforehand.
Don't you find that fascinating how, like, one word can just get over? Like, it's nothing like yeah, yeet, no. Like, it's crazy how just one word can just get an entire wrestler over.
It's something during that run, Bryan Danielson used to point out a lot, that if you move your hand and say something, it'll always get over. I mean, I think Ryback was the dumbest shit in pro wrestling, but Feed Me More got over. People would chant it, so much so that they were willing to derail plans to give him stuff to do. It definitely works. I think catchphrases are underestimated in wrestling. I think Chris Jericho back in the day was somebody who really understood that.
Oh, yeah.
And even when he was honestly not getting the best in-ring stuff early on in his run with WWE, he he knew when he got a microphone, he could deliver 4 catchphrases and one of them might catch on. And yeah, that sells t-shirts, but it also gives the fans something to react to.
Of course. And I'll tell you what, Daniel Bryan, he was my favorite wrestler from back in the day. So everything that you said about him, I fully agree with you on. Speaking of a lot of these like professional guys, I know on the independent scene at times you shared a locker room with some of these former guys from WWE. And I know you've been all over the place. I don't know if you quite had the chance to share the locker room with some like maybe former WWE or WCW or AEW guys. But if you ever did, what was maybe 1 or 2 guys that you maybe gotten some advice from?
You know, there aren't many, but when I did the first training stint with CZW, and this is somewhere on YouTube, yeah. I did get to attend a seminar with Stevie Richards, and
oh, cool.
I know his opinions are kind of all over right now because he has a podcast like so many of those wrestlers. But that was really fascinating because it was my first week of training there. So I hadn't learned how to do much of anything. And to have a guy like Stevie Richards in the ring and saying, hey, no, include him. We'll teach him some basics for this thing he's filming to try to sell was very interesting. He had a lot of stories. He actually brought us this 8-page guide on pro wrestling that he'd gotten from Steve Corino that I still have somewhere in my house. Oh, wow. That just went into all these great like anecdotes about psychology and character, and I just found it fascinating to carry with me even after pro wrestling. In a locker room, I will say to a fault, I probably give people their space. I don't like to interrupt people. If we're naturally working together, that's where I find it easy to build a rapport. But if I'm not working with someone, I can be guilty of just doing the handshake and the hi and not necessarily picking their brain, and just assuming they don't want me to pick their brain, which probably isn't necessarily true. I mean, if I were them, I'd want to talk to me.
Of course they would.
But yeah, no, I feel like sometimes that's one of those things I let other people kind of take the lead on. And I've had some great interactions through Enjoy. I got to talk a lot with Jacob Fatu when he was in, and he was great. I learned a lot from him just talking with him, and just seeing his demeanor about how he treated everyone in pro wrestling. Probably one of the nicest people I've met in life, let alone anything. More so with Enjoy, I've had a lot of great interactions, maybe more so than any other locker room. I think that's why I wanted to be a part of Enjoy Wrestling so much.
Well, they got a great locker room, I will say. They have a really welcoming opening locker room.
If somebody works for Enjoy, I generally just consider them to be a good person and expect that I will get along with them.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was there pulling cable, the last show last weekend, and I got to tell you, every person that walks through that locker room was down to earth. Some of the most down to earth people. I got to ask you this, though. I find this interesting because you are in all these different companies, and I asked almost every wrestler this one, but I've been wanting to ask you specifically this. Do you sense wrestling tribalism when you're within these companies?
I hear about it more than I sense it. Sure, there's some. I think it's always that interesting note where, you know, we're all competing for the same audience, or that's what we tell each other. I think there's a lot more commonality than anyone really talks about. I think you go to these shows and you notice they're the same people. Mm-hmm. I can go to a different promotion. RWA, for example, I just made my debut. In Pittsburgh, I've primarily, especially when I started, I wasn't trying to get into Pittsburgh places. I was trying to work in other states. Like I specifically avoided Pittsburgh when I was looking at promotions. I was like, oh, I'll go get reps in Michigan. It'll be a whole different thing. So going to RWA, you know, their audience shouldn't know me. But I got a reaction when I came out for the first time. There were a sign or two about me, and that's because there is that overlap. So people did know me from Enjoy. They knew me from 880, and I think you're seeing there are definitely some wrestlers who kind of break the barriers on that. You'll hear people say, yeah, there is a lot of tribalism, but then for everyone who says that, there's Gianni, Michael, and Rico who is working at all of these Pittsburgh promotions and making a great impact at all of them. There's a lot more than that. You know, David Lawless, another great figure in local wrestling, like who's worked everywhere and made a name for himself everywhere. Chris LaRusso. There are there are people who like to stay with one spot. But then there are others who like to dabble everywhere. And I think it differs from person to person.
Of course, and I will say this, it's no secret I work for a couple different companies. I do stuff with 880, obviously. IWC is actually where I began, and I know that one's like way far out there. A lot of people don't associate with it because there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes and whatnot. And then Enjoy Wrestling, they're obviously one of the pillars in Pittsburgh. And I always found it interesting because when I started at IWC doing like commentary and behind the scenes video production work, I was like, man, if I make a jump to one company, they're going to feel a certain way, or this company's going to feel a certain way. But you really got to learn, like once you make that foot in the door, it's kind of just, okay, you're just around in the professional wrestling scene now in Pittsburgh. It's not like you have to be loyal to one said company. As long as you're being a good person, as long as you're backstage doing what you're supposed to be told, there is no tribalism. Tribalism is only there if you make it there.
There are in some places, I will say.
There are in some places.
I haven't worked at those places, but I have heard stories from people who've explained they're not allowed to go here or not allowed to go there.
And I've heard those stories too, and I thought it was so crazy because I'm like, wait a minute, you tell me you can wrestle in one promotion that's like 10 minutes away, but you can't go 25 minutes down the road and wrestle in that promotion? It's crazy.
I don't know most of the promoters, so I can't guess what's going on in their mindset there. I'm sure everyone has their reasons, whether personal or professional. But I've met great people that come from all of these promotions. I know a lot of people who made their name at IWC that I've gotten along with famously. I mean, that's where I first saw Jack Pollock, who
Legend.
Amazing wrestler. Learned a lot from him when he was coming down to 880 before his retirement. But when I first moved to Pittsburgh, I had a friend who took me to a few of those shows. And at the time, he was doing, was it Team Storm, I think? And they were like the top heel group there. Yeah. So I saw a lot of shows where, he was the top heel there. And then I met him in a totally different context years later.
Would you say when you are backstage at some of these shows, since it is a lot of the same familiar faces, do you guys like get a good bond backstage a lot of the times? Like, is there like certain guys that you maybe ride with to certain shows, or are you just kind of doing your own thing?
I'm newer, so I have a smaller maybe core group than others. I ride along a lot with Gianni, honestly. Gianni, Michael, Enrico. He's who I travel with as much as possible. I used to travel a lot with my old tag partner down to Michigan. We don't always see eye to eye, but I've traveled with the Den of Desire before.
Okay.
We don't always see eye to eye, but we've been booked at some similar places. So I definitely have groups that I've traveled with, more so out of convenience. I don't necessarily like all these people, obviously.
I mean, what's wrong with Den of Desire? You don't want to travel with them again?
Come on. You saw did you see our Whips and Chains match?
I did not, actually.
Go watch it.
Okay.
We are just some diametrically opposed. I'm sure they're lovely people outside of wrestling, but when it comes to wrestling, maybe the closest thing I have to rivals. I don't know if I've worked with anyone as many times as I've worked with the Den of Desire.
Wouldn't you say Blizzy Blake and Marco, though? Wouldn't you say they're a great tag team? I mean, after all, they're one of the best
phenomenal tag team. I don't want to take anything away from them. They were, I think, the longest rating tag team champions.
Yep. Longest rating.
I've had phenomenal matches with them. Very rarely, I think I don't know if I've ever beaten them in a tag team match. I've beaten Blizzy and Marco in singles competition, but I don't know if I've ever beaten them in a tag team match.
What were some of your favorite matches that you ever had? Singles and tag team. Maybe it could be an 880. It could be Enjoy. Just in general, what were some of your favorite matches over the last couple of years?
I only have a little over 100 matches to my name, so I think a lot of what I've been drawn to and I remember most fondly are the matches where I did something wacky, and I've gotten a lot of leeway from 880 in particular to have some crazy bouts. The lumberjack pillow fight I had with Marco was just a sight to behold. I don't think anything's ever been done like it. And that's something that usually wouldn't leave the idea phase. And I think it's one of those things early on in training, we talked about doing matches like that. Mm-hmm. And they seemed an impossibility, but we both got to a level where asking for that suddenly meant, yeah, of course you get it. We trust you all to pull it off. Same goes for the Psychedelic Rules match we had with the Psychedelic Dreams a few months back. That was another fun one that not necessarily the most conventional wrestling match, but it was something different. The Whips and Chains match, that was a lot of fun. I almost broke my wrist, but I had a blast. I think that was one of the loudest reactions I've ever gotten during a match. Just from start to finish, everything turned out exactly like we want it. And then, there's still that thrill of death matches. My first one with DD Vice over in Negative Outlook. Gush.
Is that
Yeah.
okay? How about that's when you were gushing blood down
I
your
got
face.
busted open hard, and
What do you even do to like cause that much blood to come out?
I took a gusset plate to the head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he smashed a gusset plate in my forehead twice.
And that doesn't like leave scars or anything? Like
No, thankfully, no. I have the only scars I have are on my stomach from the
Okay.
pigeon stripping at the moment.
so you don't have the New Jack forehead yet.
No. I'm trying to avoid it.
I don't know if you're getting in matches like that's gonna help.
I have a few more under my belt, hopefully. I'm going back to Negative Outlook later this month. They have not announced a match yet, but I do have another match there. And then I don't know if I have anything else scheduled right now in that deathmatch territory. I love having them. I think what I love about doing death matches is I'm not perceived as a death match guy. There are guys that you see, Brandon St. James, phenomenal death match worker, phenomenal worker. But when you see him, you go, that's death match guy. And part of what I like about my appeal is people go, oh, he's not a death match guy. So when I, cut that promo to go to Canada or go to Negative Outlook, there are a lot of people who are like, oh, he's going to get his ass kicked. And it's a chance to kind of subvert that expectation and show a different side of myself that people aren't going to see.
Of course, it's all about that character building. It's all about that storytelling. Can I portray this audience and say, you know what, I'm going to go out there and do this? And they're all sitting there like, this guy, he ain't going to come down here and do this. And then you actually go out there and do it. Really show something to them.
Yeah, and sometimes you get to do something different. At the last Negative Outlook, me and Mikey Montgomery had a very off-the-wall match. We had the What's in the Box match, which people call a comedy match, I guess.
Gimmick match, comedy match.
We weren't very bloody, which is what typically Negative Outlook has just featured very traditional death matches, and we were probably the first deviation for that, and their crowd didn't necessarily know what to think right from the bat, but I think by the end of it, we had them hooked, and they understood what we were trying to do. And the footage looked great.
I was down there for that Negative Outlook show. I mean, I don't really fully remember that night, but I do remember you and Mikey scrambling, trying to, what was it, for the TNF championship?
No, that was for Mikey's IW Guide championship.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, you guys were fighting for a championship. I think you guys were going through a bunch of different boxes and stuff. Even though in those death matches, you're still trying to tell a story at the end of the day, would you say, right?
Oh, death matches are even no rings in particular. It's the same as working in a ring. You have a story, but you don't necessarily have most of the pieces. It's almost like putting on like a production of Our Town. Like there's no set. You're working with what you have, and I think that's where it kind of ties back to that theater world. You're just playing a different kind of game, but you still have to tell the story.
So you had a theater background. What exactly did you, like, was this just like high school musical, like theater kind of stuff?
I can't sing, so no.
Okay.
Mostly college. I did a lot of crappy plays in high school, sure, but in college, I got to do a lot of different plays. That's where I got to dabble with Shakespeare. Got to do Angels in America, which was an experience in itself.
Some guy named Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
But I always, my theater professor always drew me to a lot of the more over-the-top caricature characters. There was lots of drag involved for the Shakespeare. I mean, I played a dramatic role once for Angels in America, and after that, I was straight up. Actually, no, I guess I was doing a lot of drama. I could fake cry on cue, so sometimes
That's a talent in itself.
Yeah, I can cry on cue. So sometimes he would just give me the one dramatic role in like. We do these anthology plays where it's like 7 comedy segments and 1 dramatic. And I remember being angry about this because I really wanted to do comedy. And I got the 1 dramatic role, and it was definitely just because I knew how to cry.
It was just because that's crazy. So you were able to cry on command. How does one even do that? Do you just like, how do you even find out about that?
For me, it's like almost like controlling my eyebrows. Like I can do the people's eyebrows.
Oh, like The Rock. Okay, there we go. Yeah.
It's like a muscle. I'm almost like straining a muscle behind my eye, and then my tears start welling up and falling down.
Are you like one of those people that can like move their ears back too? Like
no, I can't do that.
You can't do that?
You do the eye. It's all in the eyes.
It's all in the eyes, the forehead. Okay.
Yeah.
So that theater background really took you into that next level in the professional wrestling, which definitely helps with cutting those promos.
Yeah, I think it made me comfortable in front of an audience. When I first got to college, I had a very thick Philadelphian accent.
Where'd you go to college?
Pitt Johnstown.
Pitt Johnstown. Okay, yeah, that's not that far.
And so when I got there, I had the worst Philly accent. I grew up in downtown Philly, so it was as thick as it gets. My theater professor kind of drilled it out of me. I remember we had a rehearsal, where he just kept making me repeat every word like 100 times until I could say it the right way. But it also got me comfortable projecting. And I think that's a lot of what people are missing with promos is they just don't know how to public speak. They don't know how to be loud enough. They don't know how to project confidence, or they don't know how to make something sound natural. It sounds like they're reading a script. And that's the opposite of what acting is. Acting is the act of, getting given a script and turning it into a performance. It's not reading a script.
Yeah, you don't want to come out there saying, like, I'm going to fight Ferret Boy. No, like, you got to say, like, I'm going to come out here and beat Ferret Boy's ass. Like, you got to really sell that. No disrespect to your tag team partner, but...
He's not a ferret.
I mean, 880 fans would disagree.
They're stupid.
I mean, you're telling me if you don't put a side-by-side picture of Clayton King and like a ferret next to each other, you're telling me you
Clayton
don't
King is a very handsome man.
You don't see the resemblance, John?
Thing.
Come on. He clearly looks like a ferret.
They put our faces on T-shirts. Didn't you see they made a T-shirt of that last poster?
Yeah, did you see my post that I had where you guys look like the Super Mario Bros?
No, we don't.
You got the stash. I will say it's a nice stash, but you got the stash.
Great mustache.
It's a great mustache.
This is why Clayton shaves his all the time, because you people make him self-conscious about it.
It's the truth, though. I mean, if you seriously put a side-by-side of the three of you, I see Mario, Luigi, and Waluigi.
I think that's just generalizing. As one of the last real Italians, I actually wonder if this is offensive. I might have to consult my lawyer. This might be deemed a hate crime.
Some guy named Lawyer. That's what we're going to get now? Some
lawyer
lawyer
I
named
might
John.
call my lawyer. I am one of the last real Italians, and I think calling me Mario, Luigi, or Waluigi is offensive.
Is calling Clayton King Ferret Boy offensive then?
Yes.
It's just making an observation.
If it weren't for insults like that, he would always have that mustache, and we are the Mustache Mafia. That's our unofficial
The Mustache Mafia.
Yeah, it's our unofficial name for ourselves.
Good brother. Oh, I need a drink after this.
Because we are three very good-looking men with mustaches.
I mean, that's debatable, but oh my gosh. The Mustache Mafia.
Yes.
Brother, okay. So you're from Philly.
Yes.
Does that mean you're all Philly sports?
Not a big sports guy.
Really?
No. I never got into sports. I considered that like kind of my childhood rebellion. My family was obsessed with sports. They ran all the intramural sports leagues. I was forced to participate in all of them. And when I was really young, I was kind of into hockey. But even then, when I got into a sport, I would be into whatever team Philly hated the most.
So mostly Pittsburgh, probably then.
No, they don't give a shit about Pittsburgh.
Are you talking about Flyers, or are you talking about...
Well, Flyers, they care about
Flyers
Pittsburgh.
hate Pittsburgh.
But in general, at the time, there was a lot of hatred, because I'm a little older, towards the Detroit Red Wings, because they were winning a lot.
That's fair.
In the 90s, they were on a hot streak. So there was a lot of hatred towards the Red Wings. They hated the Cowboys.
We all do.
I think a lot of it went, I probably liked the teams that were winning because that made sense to me. Oh, they win. I like that one.
You like that one, okay.
I didn't necessarily say, some billionaire from Philadelphia helps pay for these guys, so I got to like them.
That's fair. So you never were like big into football or basketball and that stuff growing up? But
no, I played a lot of sports.
What were some of the sports you played?
Well, I mean, all intramural. In high school, I just did amateur wrestling, and then I had to choose between that and theater, and I chose theater. But, I played basketball and baseball. That's about it for what I did every year. Like, I dabbled in other ones, mostly basketball and baseball.
Do you think I'd beat you in a 1v1 in basketball?
I'm pretty bad right now. You actually probably could.
That's the one thing I could beat you in.
Yeah,
okay.
You probably could. I'm not very good at basketball.
I'll take that from downtown.
Yeah, I'm not very good.
Not very good at basketball. I still find that interesting, though, because so many people growing up, like, they come from that different background. Like, okay, it's a football player going into wrestling, or amateur wrestler going into professional wrestling. So what were some of, the hobbies growing up then? Was it just all wrestling? Was that you were fully invested in it, or was it the theater side of things?
I was a big comic book geek. I think I kind of fell out of it a little bit with the MCU and all blowing up, but I was a big comic book nerd. I used to work actually and do journalism for a few comic book websites back in the day, which was cool because they would send me to comic conventions and I would actually get to interview like celebrities and comic book writers about the stories that were going on before it kind of became just like a movie star fest. So like some of my old friends who I used to actually like email with and text with, like their stories have been adapted into movies now, and it's like really nuts to see.
And I could tell you what, a lot of I find it so interesting. A lot of wrestlers come from that comic book background or come from the anime background, and a lot of wrestlers say it like tells a better story. Like Andrew Powell, when he came on the podcast, he was talking about how he would read these comic books and he would try and take like maybe a quote or two from that comic book, put it into his promo and try and make something out of it. And you can kind of really see that whenever he's out there wrestling, and so many of the wrestlers alike.
Well, yeah, I think comic books they have a very similar soap operatic feel. It's long-term storytelling that doesn't end. You're telling a story that's continuous over 50 years, and the characters are open to interpretation. So heroes become villains, villains become heroes, and you have to sort of, as a writer, they have to make sense of all that. And that's kind of that notion in pro wrestling. Depending where you are, your character is slightly different. At VCW, I came out with Gianni, Michael, and Rico, and I had to pretend I didn't like Clayton King. Of course, by the end of the night, I sided with my good friend Clayton King. But, I had to have that cognitive dissonance to, trash talk my very good friend and make it believable.
How are you and Clayton King friends? What makes you guys connected together?
Clayton King, he joined my former stable, Buddies Incorporated. I had formed that with another pro wrestler at the time, and Clayton was a sub-in for Halloween show. Around Halloween last year, we did a show at Penn Brewery. My tag partner wasn't able to make it, so at the last minute, they booked a match, and they paired me with this random new guy who'd been coming down for the last few Thursdays, Clayton King, and we teamed together for one match. It went okay. It wasn't like we lost, but it wasn't like a big match. But then after that, we knew each other in the locker room, and it would be like, hey, we have a 6-man. We got to pick a partner, be on our team. And he kind of became that third man for our squad. And he was just really easy to talk to. When it came to planning wrestling, our minds went to that same place.
You guys were able to connect on that different level. So you would say like Ferret Boy went from originally being the last person picked in dodgeball to being your first choice.
That. I never said
No, I'm just saying. That's kind of what you're implying here.
I'm just saying that once I met him,
yes,
he was still finding his place at 880. He didn't know anyone there. Mm-hmm. And I went, this guy's good. I mean, I could see the potential in Clayton King from day one. I went, this guy's good. He's only going to get better. And I think if you look at Clayton King's footage from October of last year to almost October of this year, he's a completely different performer. He's leveled up in every way.
You think we're going to see championship gold on Ferret Boy anytime soon?
Yeah, I think it's undeniable. I think he's already achieved championships at a lot of other organizations, and he's positioned really well to win championships at the spots he's wrestling at now.
We'll just have to wait and see what happens there. We'll just have to wait and see. Only time will tell.
I hope we are tag team champions one day. We haven't necessarily gone for those championships in a while, but that's definitely on the goals as well. After this tournament, we'll kind of see where things fall.
Kind of just have to wait and see. I usually ask this question to every single guest, and I'm curious to know what yours is, John. What is the go-to restaurant? What's the go-to place you have to go and grab food? I'm a big foodie here on the podcast. Sports is my number one. Food is my number two. What is your favorite place to grab food?
Oh, man, my favorite restaurant in Pittsburgh shut down recently.
Oh, what is it?
Oh man, I'm gonna blank on the name. So when I used to work, I was a hotel manager at Ace Hotel over in East Liberty before it closed down a few years ago, and we had this wonderful chef who ran our restaurant, James Beard nominated. That was called the Whitfield, and she moved over to the North Shore and had a great spot that closed down a year and a half ago. I want to say it was a number. That's why I'm having trouble remembering it. It was like, I'm not gonna remember something else. It's not going to come to me, but it closed down a little while ago, and I don't know if I have a favorite right now. I have 3 kids, so I don't go out as much as everyone else. And if I'm a big sandwich guy, and if I'm gonna get a sandwich, I usually go to Primo's, which is a Philly-based.
Makes sense.
Yeah, they have franchises here, but they actually use decent deli meat, unlike Boar's Head, like all the crappy sandwiches here.
Oh, you don't like Permanis?
Permanis is awful.
What?
That is
John,
some low grade. That is some low grade deli meat.
Permanis? Come on. You don't like no coleslaw and fries?
No, I can get a real hoagie if I go to like a decent sandwich spot.
Oh gosh. No, Permanis is good. Have you ever been to Pepe's down the city?
Yes, I have. It's also awful.
No, you can't say Pepe's is awful. It's like the go-to spot before a pit game. Come on, John.
I grew up on real cheesesteaks and real chicken cheesesteaks. Like, I don't know what that crap is.
Okay, I guess we'll have to do a comparison one day and try.
Oh yeah, because Pittsburgh's known for its cheesesteaks.
I mean, Permanis is still good. I'm not saying that they trump Philly's cheesesteaks, but I'm just saying
I'm just saying Philly, hoagies are a part of the culture. They are a part of the lifestyle. Right. Everyone is obsessed with hoagies. We have delis literally on every corner. Like, there are delis, bodegas on every corner. You have a corner store, and they always have a deli, and they all know how to make sandwiches well. It is just part of what you grow up with in Philadelphia. I think sandwich culture is so cut off here. Like, I can't even find a decent roll at half the grocery stores.
So you would say that the go-to food then is your hoagies and your sandwiches, probably.
That's probably what I default to the most right now. I'm trying to think what. Back when I used to like be more of a foodie in Pittsburgh, I would eat at the Whitfield down in East Liberty a lot. I used to go to Smoke down in Lawrenceville before it like changed a lot. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Pittsburgh food scene got so gutted by the pandemic.
I can agree with that, yeah.
That a lot of my favorites aren't around, and like Morcia used to be really good. I used to like Apteca, but a lot of these spots I haven't been to in ages.
Makes sense. I will say, so you're not like a burger kind of guy, steak kind of guy, not really into the
I am.
chicken.
No. I mean, but a lot of things I cook myself.
That's fair. Okay.
Like when I used to live in Point Breeze, and I would go to Point Bruges a lot so to get mussels, because that's something I don't trust myself to cook. I know how to cook mussels, but I don't trust myself to do it. So I'll go to a Belgian spot and get some mussels.
Well, you're probably gonna make fun of me for this, but I'm probably the plainest eater you get.
Okay.
Just burger and cheeseburger, and that's it. No pickles, no lettuce, no tomato, no nothing. Just plain Jane.
Okay.
Are you a pickle guy? Would you say you like pickles?
No, I like pickles.
Okay. I've been kind of tormented on this podcast last couple months about pickles.
A lot of spots in Philadelphia, I guess less so here, would give you like a tray of pickled veggies if you got a burger. Like most bars, like there's a bar I used to always frequent, the South Philadelphia Tap Room. Actually, very funny. I love this bar, and this was like my hangout when I was in Philly. I found out it was the hangout for several of the WWE guys whenever they'd come into town.
Okay.
Which was a secret I didn't keep well, and it probably ruined some of their stays. But I met a bunch of them there just on random nights. Anytime WWE was in town, you'd catch Seth Rollins, Cesaro. A lot of them like considered that their little hole in the wall that they all knew from working independence there, because it's not that far from the arena. And it's also right. So the Philly's a grid. It's very easy to navigate. Mm-hmm. So it was very convenient to get to from the big stadiums for WWE, but also one of those places you could walk to in 20 minutes if you're working one of the spots on Delaware Ave where all the independents run.
Would you say you're more of like a bar brewery kind of guy too? You gotta go in there, just grab a drink every once in a while?
I was. A lot of the bars in Philly had really good food.
Mm-hmm. I've heard there was good bar food.
Lots of good gastropubs. Devil's Alley, Devil's Den, South Philadelphia Tap Room, the Pope. Like there were a bunch. I lived in South Philly at a good time, and they all had great happy hours. So I'd go after work and get half all food.
Okay, that's not bad. Now I want to end this interview off asking you one last question. It's gonna be the most important question I ask you today, John. Why the hell do you guys keep kicking me off commentary? You say you brought me in, which I appreciate, and you give me chances to call matches at 880 Wrestling all over the place. I even did the Cleveland show. But why are you guys kicking me off commentary for certain matches? I see a little biasy there.
Well, no, I think it's more so that we know we're better. We know that our perspective is needed for the match, and it's not just you. We suspended Toddy for a couple weeks.
Okay.
So we haven't kicked Eamon off yet, but I'm sure we will. It's more so that we provide a much needed perspective, and certain matches are so monumentous that you need that leader's perspective at the commentary station. Sometimes you need us to play announcer. We do everything. I've been a referee at 880. I've been the announcer. I've been a commentator. I've done it all. I've been the sound guy. I've literally filled in on every role, and that's because I know I'm the best at every role. And obviously I can't do all of them every week, but sometimes we need that expertise.
So you can lose a match, you can call a match, you can kind of do whatever.
And win, yeah. I can win matches.
I mean, depends on how you win matches, but I mean, recently it's been not so good.
I lost like one match, okay?
And it was the biggest match, the Thursday Night Fights Championship against Liberty L. What was it, less than 2 minutes? I was on call for that match.
All right. Let's clear the air on this one right now.
Go right ahead.
All right.
I'm ready for this.
I was not supposed to have that match. That was supposed to be the biggest instant opportunity of all time, and I picked local celebrity Sean Collier to receive that instant opportunity, and he accepted. Remember, he accepted. He was ready for a fight. And Reese Hayes Did not think that was a good idea. And that's something we are dealing with privately. I'm not going to air our dirty laundry on that. Okay? Me and Reese have talked extensively about this matter because me versus Sean Collier, that was a money match. I had prepped for that match. I had promoted for that match, and I was not expecting Liberty. I'm a student of the game. When I have an opponent, I study them. I study their strategies, their moves. I have never, ever been in the ring with Liberty, okay? Liberty was a complete shock. I came prepared for one thing, and I got another, okay? Under different circumstances, I guarantee you I could take my championship back, and I may someday. Right now, this home run tournament's keeping me occupied. So I'll let Liberty enjoy her victory. But that championship went defended successfully for 6 months because I know how to win matches.
Let me clear the air a little bit here because you just dug your own grave, John. Honestly, you just dug your own grave because earlier in this episode, you stated that you guys don't cheat. You guys don't bend the rules. You don't do whatever it takes to win. You go out there and you perform and you put on Class A matches. But what you just said to me was these instant opportunities that you were giving out. There was chances for other wrestlers to elevate their status and get a championship opportunity from yours truly. Let me ask you a question. These instant opportunities, didn't one of the matches you beat West with a chair before that match even began? Didn't the other match was against Big Jim Fridge after he already had a gruesome match? It just smells like you're not really playing the fair card here with the opponents that you give these instant opportunities to. And Collier's a ring announcer, not a wrestler. So what the hell is this about?
All right. There are reasons for all of this, okay? When I'm going out there, I need an equalizer if I'm going to be taking on Irving West. There are two creeps. There are two of them.
There's 3 leaders. So what's your point?
Yeah, I was alone that night. Go watch the footage. I
was on commentary. I know.
Right? I was alone. Yes. So yes, I did hit Irving with a steel chair, okay? And then I gave Irving a choice. Do you still want this title opportunity? Irving could have said no. Irving could have went, no, I just got hit with a steel chair. I should sit this one out. Irving accepted. Big Jim Fridge, same thing. I was impressed by Jim's performance against Brandon St. James, and I went, you know what? That guy deserves a title match. And I have a short memory. I might forget by next week. So I went out there while I remembered, and Big Jim could have asked, could I get this next week? No. He didn't ask that. He said, yes, I accept that. See, you are taking the onus out of my opponents, the responsibility out of their hands and trying to place it all on me. And just like your generation to try to blame the people on top, okay? All of these people were given a choice. They accepted this instant opportunity because to them, it was worth it. To them, they could do it. And guess what? They were all wrong. Nobody ever successfully beat me in an instant opportunity. I don't count that match with Liberty as an instant opportunity. That was a Reese Hayes something, okay? That was not an instant opportunity.
As the champion, though, wouldn't you say that you're supposed to always be ready? Be ready for the unexpected? Be ready for anything that comes at you? Because, again, if we go back to that match against Liberty O, you were in your ring gear. You were expecting a fight. You were ready to go. And you were picking on the poor ring announcer, Collier, who did absolutely nothing wrong. Liberty comes out. You should have had that scouted. You seem scared. I saw fear in your eyes, John. I was right there.
Hey, that bigwig Collier and I have had problems for years. As I told you, I was the announcer for 880 Wrestling. Except for I wasn't always. I got to do Thursday night fights, but whenever it came time to do a big show Sean would just strut in the door and demand that he get to do it. Okay, so me and Sean, we have history. I've had issues with Sean going back for years, and I thought this is finally an opportunity to give Sean a chance to get one in on me, okay? And I'm going to be honest. I can probably kick Sean Collier's ass. So maybe I didn't stretch quite as much as I usually do. Maybe I hadn't followed my diet nearly as strictly. And yeah, you're right. Maybe I should have. All right. And that's a lesson I learned. Okay. That's why I'm doing this home run tournament. I'm proving to the world that I'm still the competitor I was before that loss. Because I did lose. And Liberty is one hell of a performer. I don't want to take anything away from her. Even on my best day, I would have won, but it wouldn't have been easy.
Debatable, but yeah. 1 year from now, where are we going to see some guy named John?
probably is a multiple champion in lots of places. I'd imagine the last real Italians are the tag champions in Enjoy. I'm probably 880 champion. I just imagine I have a bunch of championships. I'm planning on going back to Canada a couple times. International champion has a nice ring to it. And I think you'll see a little more on that managing side mixing in. I like to give back to the next generation, I think everyone knows that.
How so?
So by managing, by guiding people's careers.
Okay.
So I think you'll see a little more of me taking the future stars under my wing so I can give them the proper guidance to have their star achieve the heights that mine has.
Kind of just sounds like you just want to put them out in the wildfire and just kind of let you sit back on the sidelines. That's kind of what it sounds like to me a little bit. Just pointing out an observation. I'm a journalist. Again, I'm just pointing out an observation.
And once again, it's an observation based on nothing.
It's an observation based on the claim that you just made.
We might fire you after this episode. I don't know.
I thought things were going good. Damn. Well, John, I do appreciate you coming on. I'm going to give you the chance for the final words here. Anything you would like to leave with the listeners of Two Jagoffs? Anything you would like to leave with the fans of 880 Wrestling or myself, I guess?
No. I came on this show. I've been slandered. I think all these people already know what I'm capable of. They know that I'm a leader by example, and that I have wonderful shirts on sale for $20 right now if you find me at the show. And they know that wherever I go, I'm going to give one hell of a performance. And you can find me at a bunch of different local spots. I'm going to be at RWA, Enjoy Wrestling, 880 Wrestling, Negative Outlook later this month, and a few more that haven't been announced yet, because I am a commodity.
Okay.
And you people at 880 need to appreciate that.
I will say one thing. I appreciate you coming on this podcast, but that's about as much as my appreciation is going to go from here on out. But, John, thank you again for coming on. Am I going to be safe on commentary for right now, would you say? Would you say we're cool? Can I maybe have a handshake, or are we done with this interview? Would we do it? Okay. No. You use gel in that hair or no?
No.
No? I could tell. You just kind of threw it off to the side.
It's like a mousse with some fiber. It's a couple things.
A couple different things. Okay, not bad. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning in to yet another episode of Two Jagoffs. You know where to go find some guy named John. Make sure you go bash him in the comments on all of his social media posts. I know you've probably seen my buddies out there throwing out social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't like
Real appreciative.
You don't like the comments that Lucas and Mr. Jack Dean and all my friends leave you?
No.
Why not? They're giving you support. You're a celebrity, John, here in Pittsburgh. They're just showing you some love. Come on. Appreciate it. No? Okay. We tried. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in to Two Jagoffs. Until next time, see you on the next one. Peace.